In the quiet village of Ogoni, a boy named Chika was born to a humble family. Life was simple, and his parents, though not wealthy, were happy. But tragedy struck when Chika was just 5 years old. His mother, the kind-hearted woman who always sang to him at night, fell gravely ill. Her illness lingered, draining the family's resources, and one fateful morning, Chika's father woke him with tearful eyes to tell him she had passed. Chika didn't understand the full weight of what had happened. All he knew was that the warm embrace of his mother was gone forever. A year later, his father remarried a woman named Ngozi. At first, Chika was hopeful. Perhaps this new woman would fill the void in their family. But soon after, a new baby, Obiora, arrived, and the dynamics in the household shifted. By the time Chika was 10, cracks began to show in his father's once warm and protective demeanor. The man who once carried Chika on his shoulders and told him stories of brave warriors began to grow distant. "I can't afford to send both of you to school," his father declared one evening after dinner, his voice filled with resignation. "One of you has to stop." Ngozi, who had been stirring a pot of soup in the corner, glanced at Chika and smirked. "Well, Obiora is still young. Chika is older. He can manage." And just like that, Chika's dreams of continuing his education crumbled. From then on, Chika's life became a whirlwind of chores and errands. His stepmother Ngozi turned the once carefree boy into a household servant. While Obiora played or studied, Chika cleaned, fetched water from the stream, and tended to the farm. His hands grew calloused, and his shoulders ached from carrying heavy loads, but the real pain was in his heart. Wait a moment, are you watching without subscribing? Take just a minute to smash that like button if you're enjoying this story. It helps us a lot. Hit subscribe and join our amazing community for more powerful and inspiring stories. Share this video with friends and family. Don't keep this story to yourself. Thank you for doing that. Now let's dive right back into the story. At night, Chika would lie on his small mat in the corner of the kitchen, gazing at the flickering shadows cast by the lantern, wondering what he had done to deserve this. His father rarely intervened, his love for Chika seemingly buried under the influence of Ngozi's manipulations. By the time Chika was 15, Ngozi had persuaded his father to send him away. "He's wasting his time here," she argued. "Let him go learn a trade. At least he'll be useful." His father agreed, and Chika was sent to Anambra State to apprentice under a cloth trader. It was a painful goodbye, not because he would miss his family, but because he knew deep down that no one would miss him. For 15 long years, Chika worked tirelessly under his master, learning every detail of the trade. He was diligent and respectful, earning the trust of his master and the admiration of his peers. When the time came for him to be settled, the tradition of rewarding an apprentice with capital or goods to start their own business, Chika was given enough to open a small shop. Though life in Anambra State was better, it was far from easy. Chika managed to scrape by, building his business one customer at a time. Yet a part of him remained unfulfilled. He missed Ogoni, the scent of the village air, the familiar faces, and yes, even the father who had turned away from him. He often planned to visit, packing his bags with gifts for his family, but something always held him back. Perhaps it was fear of rejection, or perhaps it was the lingering bitterness from his childhood. Either way, each plan to return home was abandoned, leaving him with a gnawing sense of incompletion. Meanwhile, back in Ogoni, things were not as rosy as Ngozi had envisioned. Her beloved son, Obiora, had graduated with a degree in petroleum and natural gas engineering, but jobs were scarce. Despite all her hopes and dreams, Obiora struggled to find work. The family's finances dwindled, and the once confident stepmother grew anxious. The villagers whispered behind her back. Ngozi thought her son would become the next oil tycoon. They chuckled. Now look at her, sitting at home, waiting for miracles. But Ngozi's predicament was not just the cruel twist of fate. It was karma in its truest form. She had built her life on the foundation of another's suffering, and now that foundation was crumbling beneath her feet. Chika's heart was torn. He felt an inexplicable pull to return to Ogoni, to confront his past, and perhaps reconcile with his father. But every time he set a date to leave, an unease settled over him, a voice whispering, "Not yet." What was holding him back? Chika's heart raced with mixed emotions as he loaded his car with gifts for his family. It had been years since he left Ogoni, and he was finally ready to face the ghosts of his past. Bags of rice, cartons of provisions, and even clothes for his father and Obiora filled the back seat. He wanted to make a statement, to show them he had risen above the hardship they had subjected him to. When he called his father the night before, his father's voice carried a tone of surprise and excitement. "Chika, you're coming home tomorrow?" "Yes, Papa," Chika replied, his voice steady but his heart pounding. "I'll be there by afternoon." His father paused, and Chika could almost hear the smile in his voice. "That's good, my son. I'll tell Ngozi to prepare something special for your arrival." As he ended the call, Chika felt a pang of hope. Maybe things had changed. Maybe his father would finally embrace him like the prodigal son. The next morning, Chika set out early. The road to Ogoni was quiet, with tall palm trees swaying gently in the breeze. The rhythmic hum of his car engine was a calming backdrop to his thoughts. But as he drove deeper into the rural area, he noticed a young boy standing by the roadside. The boy looked no older than 10, his clothes tattered and his face smeared with dirt. He waved frantically, signaling for Chika to stop. Chika hesitated but eventually slowed down and rolled down his window. "What are you doing out here alone?" he asked. The boy scratched his head nervously. I'm going to the next junction. My family is waiting there." Something about the boy's story felt off, but Chika couldn't bring himself to leave him stranded. "All right, get in. I'll drop you at the junction." As they drove, the boy sat silently, looking out the window. Then, without warning, he turned to Chika, his eyes sharp and serious. "You need to turn back," the boy said flatly. Chika frowned. "What do you mean?" "Go back to where you came from," the boy continued, his voice calm but firm. "If you continue this journey, you will meet someone evil, someone who wants to harm you." Chika's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "What are you talking about? Who is this someone?" "Do not ask me questions," the boy replied. "If you want to live, go back. If you must go to your village, first go to your pastor and pray. Join a 7-day fasting and prayer session at your church. Only then will you be safe to continue." Chika's heart raced. He wanted to argue, to press the boy for more information, but something in the boy's tone silenced him. "Drop me here," the boy suddenly demanded, pointing to a spot on the highway surrounded by thick bushes. "But—" Chika started, but the boy cut him off. "Now!" Chika pulled over reluctantly. The boy stepped out of the car and walked towards the bushes. Before Chika could call out to him, the boy disappeared into the greenery, vanishing as if he had never been there. Shaken, Chika grabbed his phone and dialed his father. "Papa," he said, his voice trembling, I can't make it today. Something came up. I'll come next week instead." There was a long pause on the other end. "What kind of emergency is this?" his father asked, his tone laced with disappointment. "Papa, please understand," Chika pleaded. "It's important. I'll explain everything when I come." His father sighed heavily, but eventually agreed. "Fine, just don't take too long." Chika turned his car around and drove back to Anambra State, his mind racing with questions. Who was that boy? And what was waiting for him in Ogoni? Upon reaching Anambra, Chika went straight to his church and met with his pastor. After narrating the strange encounter, the pastor listened intently, his face growing serious. "Chika," the pastor said, "this is not an ordinary matter. The boy you met was a divine messenger, sent to warn you of danger. Someone in your village has plotted against you, and their plans are tied to spiritual forces. We must pray and seek God's protection." The pastor organized a 7-day fasting and prayer session, urging Chika to participate fully. Each day, Chika prayed with fervor, asking for protection and clarity. During the fast, Chika began to have vivid dreams. In one dream, he saw his stepmother standing by a river, chanting strange words. Behind her, a dark shadow loomed, watching him with fiery eyes. In another dream, he saw his father, sitting alone under a tree, his face filled with regret. By the 7th day, Chika felt a sense of peace but also a resolve. Whatever awaited him in Ogoni, he was ready to face it. On the 8th day, Chika felt a renewed sense of purpose. His prayers and fasting had fortified him, and he was ready to face his family. He called his father early in the morning. "Papa," Chika said, his voice steady, "I'm coming home today." This time his father's tone was different, warmer, even joyful. "That's good, my son. We've been waiting for you." By the time Chika arrived in Ogoni, as he pulled into the compound, his father, stepmother, and a few neighbors came out to greet him. There were smiles, handshakes, and hugs. For a moment, Chika felt at ease, as though the years of pain and neglect had melted away. After the initial excitement, Chika asked about his younger brother, Obiora. Obiora traveled to Lagos 2 days ago," his father explained, "to look for work. But he should be back today." Chika nodded, feeling a pang of disappointment, but also relief. He wasn't sure he was ready to face Obiora just yet. "You must be hungry," his father said. "Ngozi, go and prepare something for him to eat." Ngozi, his stepmother, gave a tight smile and disappeared into the kitchen. Chika sat down. Minutes later, Ngozi returned with a steaming plate of food. She placed it on the table in front of Chika, and then went back to fetch water. Before Chika could eat, his phone rang. It was an important business call. He excused himself and walked to the backyard to take it, leaving the food untouched on the table. As he stood in the back, engrossed in the call, a weary and disheveled Obiora arrived. He looked exhausted, his clothes dusty from travel. Seeing the plate of food on the table, he didn't think twice. He sat down and began eating, too hungry to ask questions. Moments later, Ngozi returned with a glass of water. When she saw Obiora eating the food, her face turned pale, and the glass fell from her trembling hands. "No! No, Obiora, stop!" she screamed, rushing toward him. Obiora paused, startled, but it was too late. He had already eaten most of the food. Seconds later, he began coughing violently, blood spilling from his mouth. "Somebody help me!" Ngozi cried, holding her son as he convulsed. "Please, somebody help!" Neighbors gathered, their faces filled with confusion and alarm. Obiora's body went limp in his mother's arms. Ngozi wailed, her cries echoing through the compound. "It was meant for Chika. I poisoned it for him. I didn't mean for my son to eat it." Her words sent shockwaves through the crowd. Chika, who had returned to the scene, stood frozen, his heart pounding in disbelief. You tried to kill me?" he asked, his voice breaking. Ngozi collapsed to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. "I was wrong. I was jealous of you, Chika. You came back successful and I feared you would overshadow my son. I wanted to protect him, but now I've destroyed him." Chika's father, overwhelmed with grief and shame, slumped onto a chair, unable to speak. The villagers murmured among themselves, their faces a mix of anger and pity. The death of Obiora shattered the family. Ngozi was consumed by guilt and sorrow, her once strong voice reduced to whispers. She became a shadow of herself, avoiding people and spending her days in mourning and regrets.